Question number 10, Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Prime Minister and asks, further to his response of no as to whether he received an assurance from Mr Dunn that he had not made a copy of the draft Kitteridge Report on the GCSB available to a Fairfax reporter in oral question number 11 on the 12th of February, and that he, quote, accepted him at his word, end quote, in a supplementary answer to the same question, in what context did Mr Dunn give his word that he did not make the said report available to the reporter?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, it's GCSB. I'll save you having to read out. But as I advised the House last year, I was aware that Mr Dunn had made statements to the media where he categorically ruled out that he played any part in leaking the report.
Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Honourable Trevor Mallard.
So therefore did he rely on a media report or media reports of Mr Dunn denying making the Kitteridge Report available to a Fairfax reporter to establish that Mr Dunn had, quote, given his word, end quote, on this matter? If not, how did Mr Dunn give, quote, his word, end quote?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I saw the statements that the member had made to the media and in the House and accepted that as good enough.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Did he say on the 7th of June 2013 that he could not accept Mr Dunn's assurances made earlier that day to the media that he had not made the draft Kitteridge Report available to a Fairfax reporter?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, most probably, but a lot of water's flowed under the bridge since then.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Does the Prime Minister stand by this statement? And I'll quote him. I want to believe him, but the problem is, unfortunately, the inquiry doesn't rule him out. And I can't dismiss the possibility that he has because of the information contained in the report. Does he stand by those comments, and what's changed now?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I do stand by those statements in the same way that I want to believe the member with all the comments he made about the Owen Glen donations.
Supplementary question.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Did the Prime Minister decide not to seek Mr Dunn's direct answer on the question of whether he made the draft Kitteridge Report available to a Fairfax reporter because if Mr Dunn told the truth and admitted making it available, he could not reappoint him, and if he denied making it available, Mr Dunn would have been misleading him and therefore equally unappointable? And if that was not the reason, why did he not ask Mr Dunn?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
I say to Detective Inspector Clouseau, no.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Does the Prime Minister stand by this statement, and I quote him? He has advised me that he remains unable to fully meet the inquiry requests, and accordingly he offered and I have accepted his resignation as a minister. If he stands by that comment, what's changed now?
Mr Speaker, yes, I stand by that statement. As I say, I also relied on the assurances that the member gave in the House in the same way that I'm relying on the assurances that Mr Peters has given over the Owen Glen affair.
Point of order, Speaker.
Point of order.
Mr Speaker, that's the second time the Prime Minister has introduced extraneous matters into his answers. No. Let me finish.
Order.
Let me finish.
Order. It is a point of order.
Yes.
It is required to be heard in silence.
Speaker, it does not fit the parliamentary requirement to be terse and to the point when it comes to the answers. But more importantly, as we all know, he went out and made all these allegations before the 2008 election. But we're back now, and it's too late.
Order. the member was doing marginally well when he started his point of order. He certainly wasn't by the time he finished. Supplementary question, Honourable Trevor Mallard.
To the Prime Minister, does he feel more comfortable having his government propped up by a member currently before the High Court following a prima facie case of electoral fraud being established, or one who has repeatedly declined in this House opportunities to deny being the person who made the draft Kitteridge Report available to a Fairfax reporter because to do so would involve telling the same lie he told two reporters?
Order. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Order. Order. This is a point of order.
I'd ask you to think very carefully about whether or not it's in order for the last part of that question to be introduced to the House. It is an unreasonable accusation. All members in this House are to be treated as honourable members at all times.
Yeah.
Speaking of the point of order, Mr.
No,
Speaker.
I don't need the assistance of the member. I couldn't, because of the noise, I couldn't actually hear the part to which I know the member's objecting, and I would have thought the Prime Minister actually will be able to respond quite satisfactorily to the question. I call on the Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I refute the assertions made in the member's question, but I do say this. At least we've actually got a government, which is a lot better than that member has got an opposition, because none of them are here today, and goodness knows where they are.
Order.
Point of order. Point of order.
Order. I have a point of order from the Honourable...
Mr Speaker, during that exchange of comments prior to Mr Key answering that question, Mr Banks made a thoroughly unparliamentary statement, and he should be asked to withdraw and apologise audibly.
Well, Order. I certainly didn't hear any comment that I considered unparliamentary coming from the Honourable John Banks.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order.
Yeah. With respect, what's that got to do with it? We heard it, I heard it, this member back here heard it, we all heard what he said. And you should be relying upon my complaint, and if you want to get to the bottom of it, I'll tell you what he said, but that's what he did do.
That won't be necessary. The best way forward is I'm going to ask the Honourable John Banks if he did make a remark, could he withdraw that remark for the benefit of the House?
Definitely not. Definitely not, Trevor.
Then I can take the matter
Point of order,
further.
Speaker.
Point of order.
Mr Speaker, Mr Banks called Mr Mallard a liar. We all heard it. And he should be asked to... Now he says it's true.
Order.
Now he says it's true.
Order. Order. I will hear from the Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, this clearly goes right to the point of the question. The question itself made a very similar assertion. There's no proof one way or the other. The member asking the question therefore left himself open to the same suggestion that he had just made about another member. My point I raised before.
And I think that is a reasonable point. But the more important point is, I asked Mr Banks whether he made an unparliamentary comment. He said he didn't, and Mr Banks' word will be taken. Question number 11. Gareth, please.
Point of order.
Order. This is a point of order. It will be heard in silence, but I just want to caution the member, if we are now relitigating the matter that has been discussed, that is a direct challenge to a ruling I've been given, and the member would give me no choice but for me to then ask her to leave the chamber. Does the member want to raise a fresh point of order?
I do, sir.
Fresh point of order, Tracy Martin.
So, sir, can I please seek clarification from you, either now or after question time, as a new member of Parliament, when...
Order!
When a member of the opposition rises and gives their word that a statement was made, and that is not accepted, yet when a member who is accused gives their word. I'm not seeking clarification now, sir, but it would be helpful for those of us who will be here after 2011.
And order. I'm happy to take the member through this matter after question time. Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, following Mr Banks's interjection, I called him a liar. I withdraw and apologise for that because I'm, unlike him, an honest man.
Order. And I thank the member for trying to assist the order of the House. Question number 11, Gareth Hughes. Order.
Thank you.
Order. Order. It's
time to go back to the real issues, eh?
It's Members' Day that the members are using up. I have called Gareth Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.